Hey everybody, this is Shaun Walker. I just want to make this video about this personal finance tool that I made, and I wanted to share it with you. So this is my budget matrix. I actually made it a couple of years ago in college and won a pretty good sized scholarship with it, and I think that it can help anyone who may be struggling, who may have been furloughed or laid off due to the coronavirus. I know Valerie, my wife, and I have some friends and some colleagues who are in a pinch for money at the moment, and I thought that this might help. It's a great way to determine what is really a required expense and what isn't. So I've got a little bit of a definition box up here, but I'm going to go through each quadrant individually, give some examples, explain how the sheet works, and then I'll go over to a tab where we've done our March budget and share some of our numbers with you. So this first box is fixed expenses that are required. So a fixed expense is something where the bill is the same amount each month. So that could be your rent, that could be insurance, things like that. So you'll put the description here, and then you'll put the amount, and you'll see that the numbers will add up in this box here. So you can just list as many as you have. And the next one is expenses that change but are required. So that might be like gas for your car, other things like that you have to pay for it, but it's not going to be the same amount each and every month. So that's required, box 1 and box 2. But the second level is where you can really find opportunity to save money, things that are not required. So fixed expenses that are not required, that might be like an entertainment subscription, like Hulu, maybe Spotify, maybe if you have a meal delivery subscription where you get like a prepared meal once a month that you cook at home. There could be all sorts of things where you're being charged the same amount each month, probably automatically to your checking account or your credit card, even if you're not using the service, but they're not things that you actually need. I think this is probably, for a lot of people who are my age, millennials or whatever you want to say, this is probably where they can save a lot more money because there's so many subscription-based companies nowadays. Even softwares, things that you used to buy the package, you now pay a subscription like QuickBooks or Photoshop. The last one is expenses that change but are not required. This would be entertainment, eating out, things like that. It's pretty self-explanatory. So there's the blank one. Let's go over to the tab that's got my expenses. My wife and I did this earlier today. So here's box 1. Required fixed expenses. We've got rent, or mortgage, I should say, our car insurance, that's our 2 cars that are billed together automatically, health insurance. All 3 of these things we have set up on an auto bill pay, so they just come out. And those are things that we need to pay. They're required to live. Groceries, that's a different amount every month. I'm glad that we did this for March because $372 is a lot more than I ever would have thought we were spending on groceries in a month. Obviously, with everyone being kind of stuck in their homes, that's why ours is a little bit higher, because we knew that we weren't going to be able to get to a grocery store as often or as easily since we're working from home during this self-isolation period. So we did stock up a little bit. We've got utilities. That's a little higher than I would like, but it's because we have an Airbnb and a separate apartment that's attached to our house. So that's kind of like, 2 houses worth of utilities and then gas for our cars. Okay, so that's all pretty self-explanatory, things that are required for us to live. So not required, but fixed expenses. A lot of these things are on auto pay as well. So Rotary Club is a networking group that I'm in here in Memphis. Our cell phone bills, it could be argued that those are required, but I put them as not required because if there really was an emergency or a huge loss of income, we could go down to one phone, or we could go down to a flip phone that didn't have the internet or whatever. And we're both pretty frugal with our cell phone plans. We're still, bundled with family members. internet. This is Comcast, the cheapest package you can get in Memphis. It seems to work fine for us, even with multiple devices attached at the same time. So that could be a whole nother video in and of itself, is how to negotiate and haggle with Comcast, because you can pay a lot less than you think you can. Charitable giving, we tithe 10% of our income, plus a fast offering to our church. And then Photoshop, because my wife is a professional photographer, that's Photoshop, InDesign, a bunch of different Adobe Suite tools. So these are all things that they're nice to have, and things that obviously, as a self-proclaimed frugal person, I feel like these are benefiting my life, and that's why we still pay for them, but they could go if they had to. Okay, the last one, eating out. This is actually lower than I thought it would be, because we did eat out a couple of times in March. Amazon, I can't remember exactly what all that is, but some of it was like toiletries and stuff that, we could have lumped together with the grocery column up here. Our dog did have to go to the vet for her yearly shots and get a haircut, so that was a little bit of a bigger expense that isn't necessarily happening every month. We sent a gift to someone, and then this was a movie or something for this entertainment column. So all of this could go if it had to. These over here are also auto-calculating for those of you who we're going to share this with who might not be super familiar with Excel. So these ones are adding up everything above them, and then these ones, total spent, is drawing from the total of each box. So we spent a total of $2,900 in March so far, which, March isn't over yet. Total not required, so that's the total of box 3 and 4 here, $1,200 that we could go without if we absolutely had to. And then we wrote total April potential expenses. So if worst came to worst and we just had to live with the bare minimum, we could survive off only paying $1,600 worth of bills instead of $2,950. So hopefully this helps. Just open up your credit card statement or your checking account and go through each individual transaction and then kind of group them into categories and then put them into which box you think they belong in. And really look at this box 3 here for things that are fixed expenses but not required, because maybe you have subscriptions that you're subscribed to that you're not even using anymore that could help you save money. And then briefly here at the end, I have a couple of other websites up here that I use somewhat frequently that I think might help you. We've got NerdWallet. They've just got tons of articles about different finance topics. And this is, personal finance things for individuals. Dave Ramsey, he's got an amazing podcast, or it's actually on the radio in most cities, about how to get out of debt, stay out of debt, and how to be wise with your money. Mint is a program that I used to use a lot. So if you've got a lot of different loans or credit cards or even multiple bank accounts, but you want to see them all in one dashboard on a chart like this over here, you can link them all together. I used to use that a lot, but now my bank offers something similar, so I don't use it anymore. And then Investopedia, if you ever hear a finance-related term, this can be a great place to go. They've got little videos explaining different things. So I went here all the time during college and still, use it from time to time. So anyway, we will share this with anyone that wants to. So if you would like a copy of this budget matrix, just leave a comment here or shoot me a personal message, and I'd be happy to send you a blank one. Thank you.